millionaire CEO's black daughter sparks hope for homeless boys' second chance. The bright city of New York never slept, but that crisp autumn morning, something felt different. Amara stepped out of her sleek office building, sharp in her tailored suit, the kind of power dressing that made even the tallest skyscrapers seem small. The glass towers around her caught the early sun, throwing shards of light across the sidewalk. She moved fast, no time for distractions. Quarterly reports, investor calls, endless to-dos running like fire in her mind. Then, in the middle of the polished chaos, her stride faltered. On the cold stone steps of her own building sat a boy. Not just any boy, but someone raw and real against the corporate beast she represented. Tyler. His clothes were threadbare, his hair a wild mess that caught the wind like broken branches. But it was his eyes, those bright, hopeful eyes, that made her pause. They burned like little flames in the morning chill, fighting The air was thick with the smell of roasted chestnuts from a street vendor nearby, mingling with exhaust fumes and distant city noise. The honks, the chatter, the shouts. Yet around Tyler, a strange silence seeped, like time slowed for a moment. Amara's chest tightened. That weight, the crushing loneliness and need, hit harder than she expected. She reached unconsciously into her bag, fingers brushing a neatly folded bill, ready to bridge the gap. But then, a sharp shout cut through the stillness, twisting the scene like a knife. "Hey, move it! That kid's trouble!" A passerby's rough voice sliced the morning air. Amara's head snapped up. Tyler's face jerked towards the sound. His bright eyes darkened, blurred now with fear, confusion. Her heart slammed. She saw the shadows sliding in, figures stepping fast, careless, menacing. The crowd blurred. Whispers spiked suddenly like static electricity. Is that the CEO's daughter talking to him? What's she doing with that kid? Something's off. Watch out! Amara's hands trembled. Her carefully built life, a fortress of glass and steel, threatened to shatter. This boy, a symbol of the streets she ideally wanted to forget, was suddenly an urgent puzzle she had no blueprint for. Could she pull him out? Could she be his lifeline without breaking herself first? Her eyes locked with Tyler's again. A silent battle waged between them. Hope against fear, change against ruin. The city buzz faded. The cold air around them thickened. What came next was not just about kindness or charity. It was about survival. Hers and his. Something powerful stirred in Amara. But so did danger. One instant, one glance, one choice hanging in the balance. Could a millionaire CEO's black daughter change the fate of a homeless boy? Or would the very act of her mercy unravel everything she fought so hard to build? The pages of their story trembled, waiting to be written, as the crowd watched, hushed, curious, desperate for the next move. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without warning. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content that's coming. And while you're there, drop a powerful like. It really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know each incredible person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The pages of their story trembled, waiting to be written. As the crowd watched, Amara took a deep breath, feeling the pulse of the city thrumming against her skin. Her heart raced as she felt Tyler's urgency blending with her own. Hope, fear, and a tangle of emotions danced in the air between them, thickening with each beat that echoed in her ears. "Stay close," she murmured, inching forward, nerves igniting at the ominous shouts swirling around them. But before she could reach for Tyler's hand, a flash of movement jarred her from the moment. A man, burly and ominous, surged through the crowd, his face twisted with rage, eyes locked on Tyler. "Get away from him," the man screamed, his voice like steel, cutting through the din. The crowd recoiled, whispers morphing into gasps. Amara tried to step between them, but her body froze as she recognized the man. It was Greg, her father's right-hand man, his CFO, rumored to hold power that extended beyond numbers and spreadsheets. Confusion pooled in her mind. "What are you doing here?" she stammered, her facade cracking. The boy's eyes widened, darting between them, sensing the tension crackling in the air. "You don't know him?" Greg shouted, the fury spilling from his lips like venom. "He's a criminal, a thief." "No." Amara's voice sliced through the accusations like a blade, but doubt flickered in her mind, the fangs of his words clawing at her certainty. "Tyler, tell me it's not true," she begged, the pleas spiraling around her like a lifeline. Before he could respond, the world flipped again, crashing down like a dam bursting. Greg whipped out a crumpled photograph from his coat pocket and thrust it forward. "This kid stole from your family, Amara. He broke into your home last summer." Hot blood surged in her ears. No, this couldn't be true. Her heart raced as if it were caught in a vice. Tyler's gaze was wide, but anger flickered behind his eyes. "That's a lie," he shouted, desperation coating his words. "I never touched your stuff." The crowd stirred, murmurs spiraling. "Is it true? Did he has links to people who could destroy everything you care about?" The ground shifted beneath her feet. A million faces stared at her, each one reflecting a different shade of judgment, uncertainty, fear. Could she trust Tyler? Shifting sands of identity buried deeper than she imagined began to shake her foundation. The city, serene in its chaos, echoed in her ears. "Get out of here!" Greg motioned fiercely at Tyler, and the boy's face contorted, caught between anger and fear. Could she let this moment define them all? Or could something pyrotechnic spark from the ashes? The world spun, choices teetered, and beneath it all, a truth loomed. A family secret bound her to Tyler in ways she had never known. "I don't want to hear this," Amara cried, stepping closer to Tyler, who now stood resolute. The weight of the hidden past bore down, ready to reveal threads that would change everything. Would she uncover the truth that linked them, or fall victim to her fears? The city held its breath, the next moment vibrating with possibility. a truth curled in the shadows, waiting to engulf them all. Amara's resolve hardened, but uncertainty churned in her gut like a storm. The city pulsed, their shared reality hanging by a fragile thread. And in that electric moment, she sensed an undercurrent, something deeper than the chaos swirling around them. She took a step closer to Tyler, feeling the weight of judgment pressing in, the crowd's murmurs swelling to a tide she could barely navigate. "Amara!" Greg's voice shot through the air again, sharper now. "You have to wake up. This kid—" But before he could finish, a shrill scream sliced through the murmur, echoing off the glass towers. "Help! Someone help!" The crowd surged, shifting like a wave, vulnerable and alive. The cry drew everyone's attention, momentarily scattering the tension. Eyes darted, heads turned. A woman had collapsed across the street, her hands clutching her chest. Panic etched on her face. Instantly, a rift opened, creating chaos. Amara hesitated, torn between the urgent call of humanity and the urgent pleas of her conscience. A moment frozen in time. And then, Tyler's voice broke through, earnest and fierce. "We should help her, Amara." But Greg moved first, charging through the crowd, shoving aside bodies like they were mere obstacles. "Stay back," he shouted, ignoring the very humanity he was meant to protect. Legs propelled her forward, instinct overloading her senses. Amara felt Tyler at her side, adrenaline igniting their shared purpose. Pressing through the throng, they reached the woman, fragile and crumpled on the pavement. Greg was there too, looming, trying to gain control, and in that fray, Tyler's grip tightened around Amara's wrist. A silent bond forged in urgency. "Call an ambulance," shouted a stranger. But Greg sneered. "She's nobody. Leave her. Focus on the kid instead." Something inside Amara snapped. "Enough!" she barked, and the words severed the chaos like a knife. "Help her!" In that boiling moment, time wove threads of focus. Everything else dimmed. The woman gasping for breath, Tyler's fierce gaze, Greg's grimace. Then, the twist hit like a freight train. A figure appeared from the crowd, tall and shadowy, a man draped in a tattered coat, eyes casting a deep, unsettling gaze across the mob. He paused, and suddenly, an echo of familiarity struck Amara like lightning. "Tyler!" the man roared, his voice fueled by adrenaline and rage. "I knew I'd find you." Every face turned. Gasps vibrated through the crowd, confusion spilling like water onto parched soil. Tyler flinched, eyes widening, colors draining from his face. "Stay back," he cried, panic rising, wrestling with emotions Amara couldn't decipher. "Your father's been looking for you. It's time to come home." The man stepped forward, his presence an ominous shadow that overshadowed everything. "What are you talking about?" Tyler's voice trembled, defiance fading like smoke. I've never met you." And then it slipped, a truth that shattered the air around them. "You're not just some street kid, are you?" The man spat, anger laced with something deeper, resignation, heartbreak. You're the heir to his fortune. Your mother, she... The fragments exploded. Amara's breath caught, realization dawning like a cruel sunrise. All this time, she'd been fighting for a boy she thought was lost. But in her heart echoed a deeper conspiracy. Tangled threads of heritage and hidden identity. The streets where they met now reverberated with familial ties she never suspected. Tyler wasn't merely a victim. He was someone she couldn't live without, yet someone she didn't truly know. "Who are you?" Tyler whispered, panic threading through his voice. The city trembled in anticipation, the air thickening with the implications of shattered identities and concealed truths. The crowd stood poised, shocked as the gravity of the moment swallowed them whole. Would they stand there, paralyzed by revelations, or could they transform the chaos into a lifeline? The next choices hung in the air, a delicate balance of revelation and reinvention, twisting painfully towards something new, something that could either heal or destroy everything they undo. "Are you really going to deny your father?" The crowd leaned in, a living wall of judgment. Whispers cascaded like waves crashing against rocks. Amara's heart raced, the weight of Tyler's truth hanging in the balance, pulsating with the heartbeat of the city itself. "No, no!" Tyler stammered, desperation flooding his voice. Panic twisted in Amara's gut. This was not the boy she thought she was protecting. She searched his eyes, hoping to find familiarity amidst the chaos. But all she saw was fear, a storm in those bright eyes that had earlier burned with hope. "Enough!" Greg's bark cracked through the air, escalating the tension. He took a step forward, every muscle in his body taut with authority. "This boy has no claim to anything, Amara. He's a danger. You can't trust him." But before Amara could respond, the crowd gasped collectively as another figure emerged from the throng. A woman wrapped in a dark coat, hair wild and unkempt, weaving through onlookers. She reached Tyler in a heartbeat, her presence radiating urgency. "Tyler, there you are!" Her voice roughed with emotion, resonating with an unyielding familiarity. "Who are you?" Tyler demanded, retreating, fighting the truth he couldn't grasp. "Your mother," she breathed, choking out the words, eyes glistening. "I've been looking for you. You don't understand." Shock rippled through the crowd, freezing Amara's breath in her throat. "Your mother?" Amara echoed, her world narrowing down to that one heart-stopping phrase, her carefully constructed perception of Tyler unraveling by the second. "What do you mean?" "I had to leave. I thought I was protecting you." The woman's voice cracked, desperation spilling forth as she reached for Tyler, frail as parchment. "They were coming for you. I had no choice." Panic blazed in Tyler's eyes. "I don't know you. You left me." The anger collided with anguish, two fires meeting, creating a blinding light that obscured everything else. "Listen to me. You have to trust me. I had to hide you from your father. He's not who you think he is." The woman's words sliced through the spectacle, bringing forth an electric silence that swallowed the city whole. Tyler's expression contorted, disbelief and pain morphing into something darker, something primal. "Stop!" Greg shouted, his voice drowning beneath the swell of revelation. "This is madness. You can't let her fill your head with lies." Amara's heart pounded fiercely. The implications spiraled like leaves caught in a whirlwind. Could it be true? Could Tyler's father be an enemy cloaked in a well-tailored suit? A man with shadows lurking beneath his polished exterior. Just then, the woman dug into her pocket, producing a crumpled envelope, torn and stained. This is why I left," she gasped, extending it toward Tyler. "It was a warning. They'll come for you when they realize you're still alive." A collective gasp echoed through the crowd again, their faces painted with fear and intrigue. The weight of the moment held the fragile air still, vibrating with unspoken truths, waiting to be unleashed. "Alive?" Amara whispered, her pulse thrumming with shock. "What are you talking about? I thought you were dead. I thought—" Tyler faltered, the ground beneath him shaky and uncertain. Suddenly, a siren blared in the distance, growing louder, an approaching storm of flashing lights that heralded chaos. The woman turned quickly, urgency igniting her movements. "You need to come with me now." The words ignited something fierce within Amara, an instinct, a tugging at her core. This was more than just a fight for Tyler. This was about uncovering a buried truth, steeped in danger and betrayal. Something hidden beneath layers of deceit. A cold rush of clarity enveloped Amara as she faced Greg, the truth hardening in her chest. "What do you know?" she hissed, her voice steady, emboldened by the whirlwind around her. Questions swirled like debris in the wind. "Is this why you're here? Protecting him or silencing the truth?" Before Greg could respond, Tyler seized the moment, his voice shaking, yet powerful. "I'm not going anywhere without her." He locked eyes with Amara, a fierce determination igniting a spark between them. A bond forged in the fire of unexpected revelations. But then, with one swift motion, the woman grabbed Tyler's hand, pulling him away. "We have to go. Now." The moment hung suspended, so many threads converging. Amara's heart raced, every instinct screaming to follow. But Greg stepped forward, blocking their path, the danger palpable. The sirens wailed closer, the darkness behind them creeping ominously. In a split second, choices would echo with consequences. Alliances might shatter, and identities would be revealed in a blinding flash. The ground trembled beneath them all, the tension dense, the story far from over. Would Tyler escape that cold grip of the past? Or was another truth waiting to erupt, ready to swallow them whole? The answers loomed like shadows against the city's bright facade, insistent, relentless, alive with potential for both destruction and salvation. The air thrummed with urgency as the blaring sirens echoed closer, the city vibrating beneath a growing tumult of fear and tension. Amara felt the weight of eyes upon them, the crowd a living entity. Greg's presence loomed like a thundercloud, a tempest barely contained, muscles taut, blocking their escape. "Don't you dare take him!" Greg barked, a madman's fury flaring in his eyes. But Tyler surged forward, spurred by fear and an urgent need to understand. Amara sensed something brewing, a shift within the very fabric of the moment, a bend in reality, knotting their fates tighter than she ever anticipated. "Let him go," the woman pleaded, clutching Tyler's hand like a lifeline. "You don't know what's coming." Every heartbeat echoed against the backdrop of city noise. The chaos seemed to warp time, each second pulsating heavier with doubt and dread. Shadows danced around them, the crowd flickering between curiosity and fear-driven malice, the kind of malice that knew how to twist the knife. Then it happened. A sudden explosion of sound, glass shattering nearby as shards scattered like stars into the air. A sleek black car barreled down the street, mounting the curb with reckless abandon. Amara's breath caught, heart slamming against her ribcage as she glimpsed the driver. A familiar figure, one she'd recognize anywhere. "Dad?" The word slipped past her lips, a haunting whisper that hung heavy in the air. The car skidded to a halt, tires screeching. The back door flung open, and out jumped a figure clad in tactical gear, face shadowed, movements sharp and calculated. It struck Amara like a bolt of lightning, her father's voice smothered by the chaos, barked orders cutting through the tumult. "Secure the perimeter! Get him!" The words, cold and commanding, dripped with authority like poison. Tyler recoiled, pulling away from the woman's grasp, eyes wide with disbelief. "What are you doing here?" he demanded, each syllable a dagger aimed straight at Amara's heart. "Did you think I'd let you slip away?" Amara's father shot straight back, rage simmering just below the surface, a dangerous undertow bubbling forth. It hit her then, a realization as sharp as glass. He wasn't just here for Tyler. He'd orchestrated all this. All the moments that led up to this one, her father was not the protector in her story, but the puppet master pulling the strings. "Stay away from him!" the woman yelled, stepping protectively in front of Tyler. Amara could hear the tremble in her voice, echoes of a past wrapped in blood and betrayal. With a flick of his wrist, her father nodded, and the man in tactical gear lunged forward, hand outstretched, fingers curling like claws, towards Tyler. The crowd erupted, gasping as one, the tension shattering like glass, revealing a gaping hole of truth. "Tyler!" Amara screamed, horror rising like bile in her throat. "Don't let them—" But it was too late. The woman's scream pierced the air, a sound unlike anything Amara had ever heard, layered with pain and loss. "He's not safe here. They'll use him. They'll destroy him." "No," Tyler shouted, abandoning the woman's side, his face a mask of anguish and confusion. "What did you do, Amara?" "What is this?" The world narrowed to a single point, her father's stony face twisted with intent, the woman's frantic pleas spiraling around them. Amara's heart thundered in disbelief. Behind her father's facade of control lay a darkness so deep it threatened to consume everything. "Tyler, I can't let them take you." Amara reached out, desperation fueling her movements, but a steel grip grabbed her wrist. Greg, blocking her, eyes fierce. You're blinded by compassion, he spat. This kid is a liability, a threat that needs to be silenced. And Tyler, the boy she fought for, now stood at the crossroad of truth and lies, caught in a battle of identities and dangers he never fully understood. With every breath, her carefully crafted world crumbled, revealing layers of deception that implicated not just her father, but also thrust her deeper into the shadows of a hidden war, one she had unknowingly been swept into. Run! Tyler's voice broke through the chaos, nearly engulfed by sirens. Get out of here! They'll come for us all! They're coming for you, Amara! Then came the final twist. From a hiding place behind the car stepped another figure, a smirk curling wickedly on their lips. A familiar face, one she had trusted all her life. Surprise, Amara. The voice echoed like gravel, a sickly sweet taunt. Welcome to your real family legacy. The revelation crashed down like a tidal wave, leaving her gasping, the truth sprawling before her like an open wound. Loyalty, betrayal, lineage, all redefined in an instant. The city encased them still, breaths held, every heartbeat a question left unanswered. And as the crowd swelled with fear and confusion, Amara's entire world teetered on the brink. Who was truly on her side? The path ahead darkened, illuminated only by fractures of betrayal, yet burning brightly with the hope of one last chance to reclaim everything she had lost. Amara felt the weight of disbelief crushing her chest. The revelation, a dagger sliding between her ribs. Surprise, Amara. The voice echoed mockingly, the smirk on the man's face both familiar and twisted. It was Mark, her long-lost brother, widely presumed dead, buried under a life of shadows and whispered conspiracies. The city held its breath, the air thick with the tension of unasked questions and bulletproof secrets unraveling before her eyes. But Mark wasn't just any ghost from her past. He was the very embodiment of betrayal wrapped in a veneer of charm. He stepped forward, eyes dancing with a manic glimmer that sent chills down her spine, the kind of glint that promised destruction beneath a charismatic smile. Did you really think you were the only one who could rise from the ashes? Welcome to the family, dear sister. The crowd murmured as if a thunderclap had erupted among them. You've been alive this whole time? The words slipped from her lips, quivering with a mix of fury and disbelief. Amara fought to process this new truth, the weight of hidden machinations colliding with the shock of reunion. I didn't lie. I protected you. You've always been too soft, Amara. You think you can save everyone? Mark's voice dripped with condescension, each syllable a drip of poison staining their shared history. But all that compassion, it makes you weak, and we can't afford weakness. Not now. The tactical man standing beside their father shifted, eyes narrowing with mounting realization of his own, as if grappling with his role in this tapestry of deception. Greg's eyes flicked between Mark and Amara, a churning confusion buried under layers of professional loyalty. This changes nothing, he spat. But the tremor in his tone betrayed him. Doesn't it? Mark laughed, a sound akin to shattering ice, sharp and crystalline. He turned to Greg, sneering. Let's not forget, the family business is built on blood, dear Greg. Your loyalty can be easily misplaced, can't it? In that moment, the ground beneath Amara felt as if it might crack open. Reality, splintering like glass. Tyler, the boy who had become her inexplicable tether, stood frozen in horror, trapped between worlds he didn't belong to, one of privilege, the other of survival. Is this why you brought me here? He shouted, voice breaking, a storm brewing in his eyes. To expose me to another living nightmare? Mark's gaze flicked to Tyler, and in that instant, the air shifted, charged and electric. You're more than a pawn in this game, my little brother, he said, the words twisted with dark affection. You're a golden ticket to a legacy neither of us should have to endure. A gasp rose from the crowd, whispers cascading like unfolding paper. What's happening? Is he really her brother? What does he mean by golden ticket? The sirens wailed closer now, a cacophony of urgency, drawing nearer, wrapping their reality in a haze of impending chaos. Amara felt a cold rush of dread. Mark was not just alive. He was entwined in everything. The family legacy, the danger looming with every twist in their fate. No, this has to end, Amara said, shaking her head, defiance bubbling against the rising tide of fear. I will not be a part of this. But before she could take another step, Mark lunged forward, gripping her arm with fingers like iron. You don't have a choice. This is who we are. Blood will always tie you to the past, Amara. You can either embrace it or be crushed by it. Tyler recoiled as if burned, eyes wide, and suddenly he swiveled, facing Amara. Is he right? Are we more connected than we realized? The wind picked up, swirling dust and refuse around them, anger and confusion echoing through the throng. Amara's thoughts hammered at her, colliding like shrapnel in a storm. The truth had shifted, sprung open like a door to the abyss. Then, in the distance, an explosion rocked the street, a deafening sound that shattered the air. A deliberate act of chaos that rippled through the crowd like a surge of electric shock. Bodies staggered back, screams rose in harmony with panic, and the chaos unfurled in tangible waves. Her father's sharp command cut through the noise. Back to the car! Protect the air! He yelled, urgency igniting a wildfire of instinctual desperation. Tyler's horrified gaze locked onto Amara's. She saw her own reflection there. Confusion, fury, fear. They're coming for us. I can't let them take you, he cried as he instinctively reached for her. But the explosion had already unleashed a storm, a catalyst for everything hiding just beneath the surface. A hidden layer, an echo of conspiracies, waited to be unveiled, thickening the air with danger. Would they succumb to the chaos unfurling around them? Or could they somehow weave through this newfound web, broken pieces crafted anew? As the sirens grew louder, drowning out the world, Amara clenched her jaw, her heart racing toward the next devastating truth lurking in the shadows, shrouded in uncertainty. What would that knowledge cost them? The explosion still echoed in the air like a funeral bell, loud and harrowing, while panic rippled through the crowd. Amara's heart raced, the rhythm quickening with every hurried breath. Time felt suspended, taut as a drawn bowstring, waiting for the next moment to snap. Bodies surged around them, chaos spilling forth as sirens wailed ever closer. "Get down!" Mark yelled, shoving Amara behind him, the weight of familial betrayal heavy on his shoulders as he shielded her. Tyler stood frozen, just feet away, fear and disbelief etched across his features, one foot in her world, the other teetering toward a dark fate. But as Amara leaned into Mark's protective stance, something dark stirred within her, a flicker of doubt coupled with instinctual dread that crawled up her spine. "Why did you come back now, Mark?" she hissed through clenched teeth, desperate to understand the truth hidden beneath layers of lies. "I didn't know you'd be this far gone. You should have bowed out of this." His eyes glinted, unfurling anger entwined with something more. "Protection, maybe? This is bigger than you can imagine." But before she could respond, a shriek erupted just beyond her, sharp, raw, splintering the air and freezing Amara's heart in its cavity. She turned, eyes wide with horror, as a figure emerged from the smoke, a child running wildly, dark curls matted with dust, eyes glazed with panic. "Tyler, help!" the boy screamed, terror distorting his innocent face, cutting through Amara's emotional storm like a knife. Suddenly, he fell to the ground, bringing the world to a standstill. Tyler's instincts kicked in, rushing toward the fleeing child. "Wait!" Amara shouted, but the world spiraled as Mark shoved her back, blocking her view. "What are you doing?" "Staying alive," he spat, eyes flaring with a manic light. "You have no idea what's coming. None of us do. This isn't just a family reunion. It's a reckoning." As Tyler reached the fallen boy, a deafening crash erupted from the direction of the car, sending a new tremor ripping through the crowd. Amara's heart thudded violently, and in that moment, the reality began to unravel. The illusion of safety shattered beyond repair. She could see the boy's mouth moving, pleading, his little hands reaching up, and suddenly a piercing cry echoed from another figure emerging from the darkness. The woman in a dark coat lunged forward, a knife glinting in her palm, a deadly promise reflected in her eyes. "Don't let him touch him," she shouted, filled with urgency that struck like thunder. It was a warning wrapped in desperation, and within that breath of time, everything changed. "Mom?" Tyler stammered, agony twisting his features as recognition hit him like a gale. "You're alive?" The blade shimmered as the woman twisted, and Amara's body moved before her mind could catch up. "No!" she screamed, the sound echoing through chaos as she surged toward them. But the knife flashed again, slicing downwards. And then, time fractured. Tyler threw himself in front of the child, a scream torn from his throat as he barely registered the blade's intent. A sickening thud cut through the multitude of voices, a collective gasp, rising and crashing against the asphalt like waves meeting a stony shore. "Tyler!" Amara howled. The world around her dimmed as she pushed through the throng, heart racing, chasing after a shadow of fate. When she reached him, collapsing to the pavement, what lay before her sent all the air from her lungs. Blood pooled beneath Tyler, crimson and vibrant against the pale skin of his arm, the knife embedded with brutal finality. No, no, no! The words slipped from her mouth in a frantic chant. Impossible to process the sight. The pain, the betrayal. A web of betrayal radicated through her heart as all eyes turned toward Mark. Why? Amara's voice cracked. The accusation burning in her throat, the truth clawing its way to the surface. Is this your doing? But at that very moment, Mark's expression shifted, panic etched as he took an involuntary step back, as if recoiling from the ramifications of decisions made in the shadows. I didn't. The woman's laughter pierced the air, dark and twisted, laced with victory. You haven't seen the last of your brother's legacy, dear sister. This is just the beginning. A new wave of understanding washed over Amara, the gravity of the moment settling into a devastating truth. The very heart they had fought to protect was bleeding out before their eyes, tethered by lives intertwined in chaos, betrayal, and blood. The hidden family legacy was far more sinister than simple familial ties. It was a storm gathering, ready to tear apart everything they thought they knew. As sirens finally broke the thunderous chaos, drawing closer, Amara's pulse raced in synchrony with the unfolding horror. Would Tyler's sacrifice awaken the monster lurking in the depths of deception? Or was this a door swinging wide open to a destiny that would consume them all? As the shadows closed in, the possibilities of loyalty and betrayal sparkled like shattered glass, begging for resolution. Around her, the crowd murmured, confusion blooming amid terror's chokehold, the sirens drawing closer, but still too far to quell the encroaching darkness. Mark's face shifted, panic etching lines of despair as he reached out. But Tyler's fingers twitched, grappling with the weight of his wound. Time seemed to crawl, every heartbeat a relentless reminder of vulnerability and chaos. "We've got to get him help!" Amara yelled, her voice raw with urgency. But the world erupted again into a tapestry of confusion and crisis. Suddenly, a crack of thunder rumbled from the sky, echoing down city streets. It was unlike any storm. The air itself vibrated, sentience rippling through the atmosphere. Amara's breath hitched, eyes darting as shadows shifted along the edges of visibility. Something ominous rising from the depths. And then it happened. A figure, cloaked in darkness, surged through the crowd, feet barely touching the ground. Amara's heart raced as they drew nearer. The faceless Mom? The words slipped painfully from Tyler's lips. And in that fragile moment, the woman who had vanished from their lives, the one who had been both guardian and illusion, stepped into view. Her form was gaunt, haunted by the years of absence, eyes shimmering with unshed tears, and an urgency that demanded immediate attention. What are you doing here?" Amara stammered, disbelief choking her words. The world around them held its breath. The sirens now a dull hum in the background, enveloped by a suffocating silence. "I had to come," the woman gasped, kneeling by her son, fingers trembling as they brushed against the wound. "They're coming, for the heir, for both of you." But before she could elaborate, a deep rumble from above resonated in the air, echoing like a death knell. Amara's heart pounded as shadowed figures emerged from the chaos, cloaked men with faces marked by ruthless determination. "Time's up! The family wants what's theirs!" one of them roared, the command slicing through the throng, sending shockwaves of panic racing through the crowd. But before Amara could react, a glimmer caught her eye. Tyler's mother pulled out a small, shimmering object from her pocket, a pendant that glinted and pulsed like a heartbeat. "This belongs to you, Ty," she said, pressing it against his chest. Shadows of a second chance lingering in the air. The moment hung in a delicate balance, yet the scene shattered with sudden ferocity. The ground beneath them trembled, and the sky broke wide open, raining debris. Amara could feel the chaos coalescing around them. The stakes rose, entwined with urgency, the confusion overlaid with panic. "Mother!" Tyler's I don't even know who I am. The astonishing truth loomed heavy, the breath of revelation sending shockwaves through Amara's very core. "Then what does this mean?" she demanded, voice breaking. "What are you saying?" But before she could grasp the full horror of his words, a figure emerged from within the shadows, one cloaked in the familiar yet distant visage of her father, the orchestrator of the very chaos that enveloped them. "Enough with this charade," he boomed, his voice a squadron of authority. "We don't have time for games. We have a legacy to uphold." The air thickened with unuttered words, secrets spun tighter than the monsters that lurked beneath the surface. A collective gasp echoing amongst the crowd as Tyler sank deeper into confusion. "Wait!" Amara shouted, heart racing, desperation clawing within her chest. "What are you hiding? Who are we really?" But as the wind howled, all comprehension shattered like glass, cascading into chaos. The crowd shifted uneasily, eyes darting, breaths held. Anticipation never felt so suffocating. The tangled web of their identities loomed above them, waiting to engulf them all in its inescapable embrace. In the throes of impending doom, the silhouette of truth gleamed sharply against the backdrop of terror. Would they unearth it in time? A tempest unfolded before them, secrets screaming beneath the surface, poised to change everything they thought they knew. The shadows crouched heavily around them, suffocating in their weight, as silence fell like a shroud. A moment crackled with uncertainty, and fragile hopes that teetered on the edge of despair. Amara's pulse thundered, the world narrowing, then exploding outward into chaos. "Who are we really?" she had shouted, her voice twisting with desperation. Each word felt like a gaping wound in her heart. Then it happened. An explosion of light tore through the darkness, a blinding flare igniting the horizon, as if the very heavens had ruptured. Gasps erupted, bodies recoiling, and in that instant, a shockwave rippled across the pavement. The ground beneath them shook violently, trembling as buildings shuddered, windows quaking, glass raining down in a cascade of danger. "What was that?" a voice shrieked, panic flooding through the crowd, twisting chaos into a frenzy of confusion. Amara's eyes darted to the source. A massive crane had toppled in the distance, its arm swinging dangerously, a harbinger of destruction that threatened to annihilate their very existence. "Run!" Tyler's mother cried, grabbing for her son. The blinding light pulsed again, a chorus of ignited fears converging as the air filled with dust and smoke. Mark's face paled, resolve crumbling under the weight of panic, and he darted toward Amara. "We can't stay here! We need to move!" But as bodies surged and chaos swirled, a shrouded figure emerged from the smoke, stepping gracefully through the terror like a phantom. It was cloaked in darkness, a silhouette both familiar yet hauntingly distant. The crowd parted, breath caught in a collective gasp. The figure drifted forward, revealing a face Amara recognized with horror. Her mother. "Mom?" Each syllable. "You disappeared." Her mother's eyes glimmered, filled with sorrow and fierce determination. "I had to shield you," she breathed, voice tremulous yet powerful. "There are forces in our family you don't understand, forces tied to Tyler's fate." Beneath the weight of veracity, something in Tyler shifted, realization dawning like storm clouds gathering on the horizon. "What do you mean?" he called out, desperation twisting his features. "What forces? What are you saying?" The whispers around them rose into a choral crescendo, revelation slicing through the air like a knife. "I'm the one they've been hunting," her mother continued, breathless, a secret unfurling, raw and bleeding. "Your father's legacy is not just wealth. It's also an empire built on manipulation and blood. Hidden dangers lurk beneath every truth you thought you knew." That revelation sparked a torrent, a shift that altered everything. The crowd moved like water, driven by the undercurrent of panic and curiosity. "What are you talking about?" Amara shouted, confusion boiling over into fury as Mark's face paled even further, emotions simmering just beneath the surface. "The night I disappeared," her mother hesitated, glancing back at the approaching chaos. "It wasn't just a choice. It was survival." The world shrank, the narrative collapsing under its own weight. "You're tied to this too?" "Amara, we're all bound by this legacy," Mark interjected suddenly, eyes frantically shifting between his mother and sister. "I shouldn't have come back. I thought I was protecting you." But the moment prolonged, a tension so heavy it felt alive, and Amara's revelation struck with deadly precision. "You're not protecting me, Mark. You've been playing a part in this twisted game the whole time." Silence swallowed them whole. Her voice closed the distance between their truths with the brutality of a shattered glass. "Now's not the time," her mother cried, urgency flaring as sirens wailed and the ground trembled once more. But another pulse of realization struck. Tyler was not merely her lifeline. He was a central piece in a horrifying puzzle wrapped in her family's treachery. Amara gripped Tyler's hand tighter, fear flickering to life in her gut. "Wait!" A boldness from deep inside swirled with raw desperation. "What other secrets are you hiding? Are we really safe?" And in that fragile moment, just as the sky darkened over them, a figure stepped forth from the edge of the gathering. One they had not anticipated. An enigmatic silhouette emerged, a familiar face marred by bitterness. It was Greg. "Your mother isn't the only one with secrets." Greg chuckled darkly, unearthing a weapon from the folds of his jacket, glinting ominously under the fractured light. The revelations coiled around them, as if a noose was tightening. Trust shattered, and identities teetering. The truth was unveiled against the encroaching darkness, and as the horizon swirled with chaos, boundaries that once separated them dissolved, leaving them stranded in a whirlwind of revelation and betrayal. The heart of the storm was only beginning to unfurl. Would they embrace their fractured legacy, or would it consume them utterly? Amara felt her heart thunder as Greg stepped closer, weapon drawn and eyes wild with intent. The world spun around them, chaos bursting into shards of confusion. "You don't know what you're messing with," Greg bellowed. But the fear in his voice didn't match the bravado of his stance. "Stop! Just stop!" Amara cried, feeling the weight of the moment crush down on her. In that instant, all the truths they had uncovered smashed together like broken glass. Tyler clutched her hand, his eyes wide, searching for reassurance. The boy who had been her lifeline now stood on the edge of everything unraveling. "Amara, run!" Tyler's voice broke through the tension, laced with urgency. But her heart wouldn't let her go. "No, we face this together!" she shouted, determination flickering like a flame inside her. The truth felt fiery, and she needed to protect him, to shield them both from whatever dark legacy loomed. "Your true family will hunt you down if you don't give in." Greg's voice had a biting edge, an invitation to succumb to fear, not fight it. But Tyler's mother stepped forward, fear wrapped in bravery. "You will not take my son," she yelled, standing beside Tyler with her heart laid bare. "Our legacy is not built on blood only, but on choice, love, and hope." Her words hung in the air, heavy with meaning and grit. A ripple of something electric surged between them, binding them in that fleeting moment. A second later, without thinking, Amara lunged toward Greg. "Let him go." She aimed for the weapon, but he was ready. There was a moment, a heartbeat where time suspended, before the sound broke like a gunshot as the two collided. "Step away!" Greg yelled, but Tyler blocked him, the pendant around his neck glowing. "Let us end this, once and for all." With a radiant burst of light, the pendant exploded with energy, casting a brilliant glow across the street. It blinded Greg momentarily. Amara seized her chance and pushed him away with all her might. He stumbled, lost balance, and dropped the weapon, which clattered away, silencing fear with its thud. Silence followed. The crowd around them stood frozen, breaths held tightly in their chests. Amara turned to Tyler, their souls igniting with shared understanding. "We can rewrite our story," she said, voice steady and warm. Tyler nodded slowly, his eyes fierce with resolve. "Together, we choose who we are, not what they want us to be." And just like that, the shadow of the past began to lift. Tyler's mother reached for him, their hands intertwining. In that binding, something profound took root. Trust, love, and forgiveness blossomed in a way that made the chaos fade. As sirens finally pulled near, the crowd relaxed, confusion replaced by awe and pride. They had rewritten their fate in that moment, had shifted from prey to warriors. Yet even as they stood strong together, Amara glanced at Mark, who remained, somewhat lost, but not without hope. Your path isn't blocked, Mark. You can still find your way back. He looked at her, eyes glistening with a blend of regret and resolve. I will, he promised softly. I need to make things right. With a nod, she turned back to Tyler, knowing their journey was just beginning. A new chapter promised itself, ready to be written under the bright New York skies, where hope sparkled in the streets. Then, as the sirens erupted into the chaos, Amara heard a low murmur ripple through the crowd, tiny whirs of phones capturing the moment, whispers of change stirring. Just as things seemed to settle, a distant voice called from the shadows, echoing like a storm, gathering once more. You think this is over? The legacy isn't finished yet. In that haunting whisper, Amara felt a shudder, knowing that while they had triumphed today, shadows still lurked beyond the horizon. You must subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and support the channel. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. And share this video right now with at least 5 friends who need to know how this all ends. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait another second.